Welcome back. We're here with Leah Pitts-Valenti, our last segment on the future of the Republican Party in Sarasota County. Now, there's what's called a Republican Executive Committee, which is supposed to be kind of the governing body of party activists who kind of run the party. And what I hear is this, is that the current leadership of the Republican Executive Committee was basically Tram Hudson's people. And these were people that were loyal to Tram Hudson. And when Tram Hudson ran for Congress, they backed him a lot behind the scenes. Well, now Tram Hudson's Executive Committee, which is supposed to be kind of the governing body of party activists who kind of run the party. And what I hear is this, is that the current leadership of the Republican Executive Committee was basically Tram Hudson's people. And these were people that were loyal to Tram Hudson. And when Tram Hudson ran for Congress, they backed him a lot behind the scenes. Well, now Tram Hudson's kind of gone into the background a little bit in the party. And Vern Buchanan, a lot of people are looking at him as the leader of the party. And what I hear is that Vern Buchanan is going to try to make a move to kind of get some of his people, people that are loyal to him, into the upper echelons of the REC. And he wants to exert more of a leadership role over the party apparatus. What do you hear along those lines? And do you think Vern Buchanan is kind of the guy who's going to be the leader of the Sarasota Republicans?
Listen, I think Tram is a great guy. I know him personally. I think he's a spectacular guy. I think he ran a great campaign in terms of grassroots. Vern is our congressman. I think he's a wonderful congressman. I think he's done a great job of going across party lines, and that says a lot about him. He doesn't stick to, straight partisanship. If Vern wants to bring people in that are more loyal to him, good for him. And especially if that means bringing new people in to the Republican Executive Committee. I'm all for bringing new people in, new ideas, a new perspective of things. And if that's the case, am I saying to push trans people out? No. But if that brings a little bit of a fresher perspective, I'm all for it. I think Vern is a great guy. I think he's also got some new and great ideas, being a sophomore congressman. I think that if that is something he wants to do, I back him. I'm all for it. I do go to REC meetings. And if he wants to be the leader, I mean, he's our congressman. I think he should be able to. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I think nationally, as well as kind of trending locally, I have a concern that the Republican Party is becoming a party of primarily white people over 60. And we've got to do something to bring in the young people and the Latin voters, African American voters, and it's going to be a lot tougher to do with Obama in the White House. What do you think we need to do as a Republican Party to kind of bring in those, try to get those people back into our side of the camp?
Well, unfortunately, in Sarasota County, we're predominantly older. I mean, I live in Venice. We're the snowbird capital, which is, everyone coming from up north and staying down here for a few months out of the year. So I think it's a lot harder for us in Sarasota County because we don't have a large influx of, first of all, we are a predominantly Caucasian county, but also we're predominantly older. So I don't think here we can really go out and get to the younger voter. But I will say that I have seen a lot more in this last election cycle, younger people coming and actually approaching me that I'm younger, saying, how did you get into it? How can I transition into being a campaign manager like yourself? You're younger. How can I get to that place? And I tell them, start now, start while you're young, do internships, work for the congressman, work for elected officials in the area. When you go to college, use that and start young professional, young Republican groups in your colleges. And I actually had a youth conservative group who backed my candidate and your candidacy when you ran. And I think that is the forefront of how you start bringing youth of all socioeconomic statuses and races.
I like to look at numbers by precinct after an election.
Sure.
I love to study what parts of the county went for certain candidates.
Sure.
The numbers that jumped out to me were the numbers in Northport. This is the last thing I want to ask you about. I couldn't believe that Northport went heavily for Obama. I always thought Northport was a Republican stronghold. What's going on in Northport?
I think Northport is Middle America. I think what everyone else in Middle America went through with the economic downturn is what I think happened in Northport. I think those were your school teachers. I think those were your police officers and deputies, and I think that they were people that didn't make a lot of money. They were the people that bought those affordable houses that were commuting to Sarasota County. And I think when gas hit $4.11 in July this summer, I think they couldn't afford to get work. They moved. They moved to North Carolina, South Carolina, where it was a little easier. They could live and work, and it was just much more affordable. I think that those people want to change. They demanded change, just like, I guess, the rest of Middle America did. You know, Obama was voted for overwhelmingly by all socioeconomic status. But I think that mainly Northport is your direct view of the people.
Well, we wanted to bring in this week a star of the Republican Party, and our first choice was Leah Pitts-Valenti. I think we made a good choice. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you very much.
I think now is time for our favorite segment, the Weasel of the Week.
Hot goes the pop, goes the one, and then the Weasel is steady pocket needs a refill. Got a squad with a list lanes, I should have started great. Rappers against phony.
Our Weasel of the Week this week is probably the worst reporter in Sarasota County. There are 8 newspapers in the county, and by far, and I told you last week, I read them, all of them every week, and by far the worst reporter in Sarasota County is Rick Berry of the Pelican Press. Look at the headline in this week's Pelican Press. Hopefully y'all can see that. Lies, innuendo, and dirty tricks do the job for county GOP. Now, this is not an editorial. I would have no problem with this article if this article appeared on the front page of the Pelican Press as an editorial, as an opinion. It is not. This is being published by the Pelican Press as a legitimate news story by a reporter, not an opinion person. One of Mr. Berry's, and of course the whole purpose of the article is that the only reason why Republican candidates won is because of lies, innuendo, and dirty tricks, and he lays out his case. One of the things that Rick likes to do is he will pick sides, of course, which a reporter is not supposed to do, and how he introduces them. For example, he introduces County Commission candidate Joan O'Miller as New College Environmental Studies Program founder Joan O'Miller, a man with an impressive resume of an advanced education and 25 years unrivaled community service. That's how he introduces him. Now, how did he introduce her opponent, Carolyn Mason, his opponent? Mason, a one-term Democratic City Commission with scant credentials. This is a reporter who's writing a legitimate news story. That's how he introduces them. One more quote I'll pull out. How does he introduce former chair of the Republican Party? Former Republican Party Chairman Robert Wachter, who routinely employs legal dirty tricks. That's how he's introduced. How does he introduce the Democratic chair? Democratic Party Chairwoman Rita Ferrandino, who's earned plaudits for her leadership, rebuilding the local party. This guy has become a cartoon character in writing these articles. He would be fine writing editorials for the Pelican Press, but on the front page of the paper, writing legitimate news stories, something like that, well, the Pelican Press editors, publishers should be ashamed of themselves. Put him on the editorial page where he belongs. That's our show. We'll see you next week.
You ready? Let's go!